Hi, this is Derek Lewis, Executive Director, Greenville First Steps. Thanks for checking out our slideshow on childcare shared services. We appreciate you being a part of this presentation. We just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the work that we're doing in South Carolina that we hope will potentially build a shared services network for childcare providers and after-school providers across the state. After you go through the presentation, if you have more questions or if you want some more information, feel free to contact me at the information shown here. My email address is derek@greenvillefirststeps.org. My phone number is 239-3720. And if you'd like some more information, want to visit us online, or just to take the survey, all you need to do is visit greenvillefirststeps.org/shared services. The concept for shared services has really been around across the country for several years. The idea is in many business sectors, employees pool together their buying power and use their resources to really leverage greater discounts on expertise or maybe help save money on purchases that they would make every day. There are a few states that have a child care network of shared services, and our real goal here is to learn from the work that they've done, put some examples out in front of the state, have you give us some feedback on what you like and what you don't like, and that'll help us really decide how we can best build this system. The main thing I want you to think about are the things that you do that take you away from the classroom. So you got into this business probably because you care about kids or you want kids to learn. And somewhere along the way, you became the maintenance director and the bus maintenance person and the plumbing person and the HR director. And all of those are skills that you've developed over time, but probably weren't the things that attracted you to this work to begin with. So what we're looking at is to help free up time and money on your end that will allow you to focus your energy back on the things you really want to spend your time doing. Working with kids, working with staff, improving what's happening in your classroom or in your after-school room. For us, shared services really consists of 5 buckets, and we're going to go through each one of them in detail right here, but primarily the first bucket is really the one that we know is most appealing to most folks, and that's the idea of shared buying power. Just this idea that we could go across the state and say these 2,000 providers all across South Carolina all need to buy gloves. So how can we negotiate a rate so that everybody gets a great rate on gloves, but also so that your gloves get delivered to you to help cut down on that time that you're spending going back and forth between your place of work and Walmart or Sam's. The other idea is subject matter experts, the idea that you could call on someone or ask a question of someone and get an answer from someone who's an expert in HR or legal services, rather than trying to ask your friends or your neighbors and getting what they think is the right answer, but may just be a bad answer they've been sharing for a long time. Online downloadable resources is also a significant part of this, as well as contracted services, a discount that you can get on some services that could be provided directly to you, like a maintenance person. And then finally, online systems or database systems where we can help maybe take some of the paperwork off your desk and really free it up. Now, before we get into this, the real question is going to be, what all is this going to cost? And truly, our goal is to make as much of this free as possible, or to make it cheaper than what you're already paying for it. So we want you to go through this presentation with an open mind, thinking about these as services you want. And then once we figure out what everybody really has focused on, then we'll be able to figure out how to create a system that delivers that for either for free or for as inexpensive as we can. The great thing about doing this across the state is there's some real cost savings just in building this system alone. So we're really excited about it. Let's get started. Shared buying power is one of the things that most people think about when they think about shared services. So again, think about how many boxes of gloves you buy in a month for one classroom. Is it 5 boxes, 10 boxes? Maybe you buy 30 or 40 boxes of gloves a month across your entire center. Now think about that over the year, and think about over the 200 to 300 providers across the state. And we're talking about thousands of boxes of gloves that are bought every month, every year. If we can go to one provider and say, if we agree to buy all of our gloves from you, what's the absolute best rate you can send us? And will you ship them to these providers for free? Then we can just put a link on a website. You can click on it. You can buy your gloves. You can buy your bags. You can buy your diapers. And they'll actually ship them directly to you. The same thing would apply with educational supplies. So think about all the books you buy, the classroom sets of materials that you buy. If we had a negotiated rate with Scholastic or with another book service, we could actually let you buy those books cheaper than you can buy them through their catalogs and have them shipped for free to you. The same thing again with furnishings. Think about the materials that you buy for your classroom, but also think about the equipment that you buy for your playground or for your office or for your kitchen. Think about the amount of mulch that you have to buy in a given year. And could we negotiate with a vendor to have that mulch delivered and spread for you for a significantly reduced cost because they're doing it for everybody across the state? Facility needs. Maybe you've had to replace an HVAC unit in the last year, or maybe you're going to have to look at upgrading some appliances. Maybe you have a credit card and would like to negotiate for a lower rate. Well, as a buying pool, we may be able to get a credit union or a bank to loan a specific type of card out to all providers at a reduced interest rate and with no processing fees. Think about the food and the amount of time that you spend buying and sorting and shipping food to your center. Imagine if that could all be done online with free shipping. Your cell phone, your internet, your home phone, your auto or home insurance. Think about the many times your staff have told you that if they just had health insurance, they would have stayed with you for another year. Could we have a buying pool that makes health insurance affordable for you and for your staff and allows you to retain staff without really having to negotiate your own rates? Or maybe computers or tablets. These are all really examples of shared buying power where we can take this whole collective group of after-school, childcare, family home providers across the state and pool their buying power to help us negotiate for lower rates for you. But another bucket that might be appealing would be subject matter experts. So think about the times that you have had to address an employee issue. Maybe an employee was late too many times and you're not really sure whether it's a fireable offense or whether you should write them up or how you should deal with it, and you're not really sure who to ask. With this sort of a system, we could have on-call HR experts or legal experts or bookkeeping experts who you could call and at a negotiated rate get a flat, 5 hours of consulting for $30. So now you've got an expert who you're working with who's giving you official answers that we know are current, we know are legal, and we know are going to make sure that you have the tools you need not to put yourself at risk. But we could also use it for experts like grant writing or fundraisers. We know in one center they may be selling boxes of produce as a fundraiser. Well, there's no reason that every center couldn't sell boxes of produce across the state as a fundraiser. It's not like you compete with one another for the people that would buy the produce. So we could create this list of all these different types of parent fundraisers that are all available across the state and then give you links to experts who could both help you build it and to the vendor who's doing that service. So you could just, with a click of a button, have a year-round fundraising plan without having to do a whole lot of extra work. Or just think about the times that you've had questions and you're not sure who to ask. So someone comes in and there's an issue with the fire marshal with where you've decided to place an appliance, or maybe there's an issue with DSS about where a trash can was placed in your bathroom. Here you could go online and you could just say, I don't understand this system. Somebody explain it to me. And we could take your question and print an answer so that everyone sees the answer. So think about the consistency of information that we might help people get across the state just from you asking your questions and getting answers. The third bucket might be online downloadable resources. So your employee applications or your parent handbook or the paperwork that you have to do for DSS or USDA that changes on a regular basis. You don't know where to find the most current example, or maybe you do know where it is, but it's all over the place. This could be a single portal where all of this information is available. We could hire an HR company to build an employee handbook that is a template for you. You could download it as a Word file, delete the sections that don't apply to you, add the sections that do apply to you, and know that you have, to the best of your knowledge, fulfilled the legal requirements of an employer. We could create a parent handbook that has all the language for the discipline policy or the field trip policy or the immunization policy that we know all of these state agencies are looking over your shoulder to make sure you have. We could put it all into one handbook, and so you could just download it, edit it, put your logo on it, and send it out and know that you're compliant. Or we could just have language there that you could just cut and paste into your own system if you didn't want to use somebody else's handbook. Imagine if you had an operations handbook that explained, what do you do if there's an active shooter somewhere on your campus? Or what do you do if there's an accident while you're on a field trip? And we could write out all of these policies and procedures for you, and then you just download them, use the ones that are relevant to you, delete the ones that aren't, and know that, again, everything you're doing is legal, that it's compliant, and that it's keeping you from being at risk. How many times have you wondered what the weekly rate is for child care providers across the state? How many times have you wondered whether you're being paid enough as a director? So we could do, quarterly compensation reports that show kind of what is the rate of a child care director with this many kids in this zip code, and really help people see, what are comparable rates to pay employees, also what are comparable rates to charge parents. Or a job center where you could just post open positions and people could apply when they're looking for jobs. Or where you could review resumes, so when you know you may have a position coming open, you could already have that position filled without having to advertise it in the paper and having to pay those costs. Or an online training system where people could go online from your office, click of a button, download DSS certified trainings, take those trainings, get the certificate, and do all of it on their lunch break. So you don't even have to pay people to go out and do trainings in the evenings or on the weekends. These would be the examples of things we could make available to you for free if there was an interest in it. Contracted services are kind of like shared buying power, but for people. So you need a plumber, you get in the phone book, you call a plumber. That guy shows up, and your floor is already half flooded, so you're going to pay whatever rate he's going to charge you when he shows up that day. But what if we had a list of plumbers in your area that have agreed to work for a flat rate? And so if you've got a toilet overflowing, they're going to charge you $20 an hour. And here's the number you call, and they come straight to you. Or if there's a problem with your bus and you don't want to take it to the service center because you don't want to lose time with them servicing your bus, let somebody come to you that can do the bus. Or landscaping, housekeeping, maybe even IT support that you could just call in and have somebody fix your phone or fix your internet or fix your computer over the phone while you're just talking to them. Imagine if there was a substitute employee pool where, just like with the school district, your employees could call a number and say, "I'm sick, I'm not coming into work today." And immediately there would be this pool of employees that would be called, and then you'd get a call that says, "Derek isn't coming in today, Beth's going to be your sub, she's showing up with her paperwork." And she arrives on site with a file that shows that she's done all the trainings that she needs. You hold that file at the front desk, she works with you for the day, and you send her home. She's paid through the employee pool, and you just pay that entity directly, so you don't even have to put it on your payroll. Or imagine those times when you've needed a new director or a new assistant director, and you weren't sure where to look for that job because you know that the other directors aren't likely going to be referring up their people. So we could have a system where we could actually train people to be certified as assistant directors or center directors, and then have a pool of those people. So when you need someone, it'd be like having your own job placement company that could come in and give you 3 or 4 qualified candidates, and you could use those folks. Or a call center where you could call a pediatrician if you had a question about an illness that a child has, or how to deal with lice in your center. Or a fee collection system where, with a touch of a button, it could process everyone's payments if they give you their credit cards. And you don't have to worry about, did people pay, or did I get a check, or did the checks clear? You could just do it all online. The last bucket is really the one that I think is most interesting across the state. We are exploring ways that we could have online systems for you to track your employees' timesheets. You could track when they come, when they go. You could track their training records. But you could also do the same thing for students. We could track when students are here, when they're not here, when they check in, when they check out, who's authorized for pickup. So families could enter a passcode or scan a barcode, and it says, Beth is the person who's authorized to pick up this child, and she can sign him out. But we could also do more with that. We could actually screen children for developmental delays online and actually track how that child progresses with maybe any areas where there were issues that were showing up. Or we create a portfolio system where teachers could actually load up into an online system all the skills that a child has possessed. So when that child moves from your center to the 5K classroom at the school district across the street, you could actually, through the parent, email a packet that says, these are the letters Derek recognizes. These are the issues I have with Derek in the classroom. These are the concerns that I've addressed with the parent, and this is what we're doing to work on it. So that first day of school, that child comes ready to learn, and also almost a backpack of information, and the teachers aren't having to recreate all that stuff. Imagine if you, with a click of a button, could invoice First Steps or the USDA Foods Program or DSS for all billing, and you don't have to create a new paperwork system to decide how many people were here to see how many meals you get reimbursed for. That's kind of what the database systems could do for us if there was an interest in that kind of work. So how can you help us out? Well, over the next few months, we're going to go through a process. Right now, you're doing the first step, which is to participate in this online webinar and then to take the survey. You can see the link here. If you just go to greenvillefirststeps.org/shared services, there's a link there. And during September, if you just go on and take that survey, you can tell us of all the things we just covered there, what is most important to you? What's not important to you? It asks a couple of demographic questions like what size is your center, or whether you're a faith-based provider or an after-school provider or a family home provider. And we'll use that information also to help us see what is general trends we're seeing among family home providers or after-school providers or for-profit providers and the things that they need. So help us out by taking the survey. Also send that link to anybody you know. Let them go online. They can watch this presentation on that website. They can also take the survey. The more information we get, the better we can design this system for you. Our goal is over October and November to then take all of that information that you've given us and do some work with the South Carolina Institute for Child Success to look at what exists nationally and what are some models that we could bring in that may be prepackaged systems that would be much cheaper for us to build. And then our hope is in November to work with some state partners, some local private partners, some federal funds, and perhaps even some foundation funds to build as much of this system for free for you as we can. And then our hope is that by December, we would actually have a pilot phase of this with 10 to 12 pilot providers. You can also indicate on the survey whether you'd like to be considered as one of those pilot sites. Then in January of 2016, our goal is to begin this pilot work and track that for about a year. We're going to be looking not only at how the system works and how our vendors work and how the partners work, but we're also going to bring in some research folks to help us really measure the real impact. So we can then present to child care providers, after-school providers, family home providers across the state, this is what we think this will save you in time and treasure. And then what we hope is we can make a real case that this should be rolled out all across South Carolina, probably in January of 2017. We appreciate you taking the time to do this survey. Again, my name is Derek Lewis, and I'm the Executive Director of Greenville First Steps. Here's my email address, derek@greenvillefirststeps.org, and my phone number, 864-239-3720. If you want more information on this, please feel free to contact me, or just go online to greenvillefirststeps.org/shared services, and all of this information is available on that website. We thank you for your time, and we hope you have a great day.